Good Friday evening, everybody. Christopher McDonald back with you on this Friday night as we wrap up a week of great shows. No better way to go out than with the Mac Man himself 2 nights in a row, right? We're hoping to have a guest or two here tonight. Mr. Johnson did finally surface. I cannot tell you where he's at on threat of death, but whoa, I'll just leave it at that. But he will be with us next week, and we got some great guests. Or a week after, he'll be back. Him and Elvis are honeymooning. Not in that sense, but they're enjoying some time off this week, and I'm glad he is. And I told him it's fine. We'll get him back on. But we got some great stuff for you tonight. We're going to sort of pick up round 2 from last night. I do want to say this before I get going. I said it this morning. By the way, I got the cowboy hat on first, but I got the bear hat and the I was not here hat on when it gets tough in here. I do want to say this, and I'm not sure if she's listening tonight, but Miss Sandra, if you're out there, I did not mean to be sort of snarky last night about your email regarding the flat Earth. If you want to believe that, we're okay with that. I'm not one that believes that. I listened to the show last night. I always do, as I always do. And I probably could have worded my response a little more nicer. I'm not saying that all the flat Earth people are smoking dope. There's probably a lot worse things that people can believe that are smoking dope on. It's craziness to me. It's insane. But anyway, I didn't mean to call your name and doing that. And the McFiles host is not perfect, and he got a little wired up last night. I'm probably going to get wired up again tonight. So I'll just go ahead and ask for forgiveness ahead of time. I had a lawyer tell me one time, he said, I got the best advice for any man in America that keeps him out of divorce court. And I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, it's 100% guaranteed. I said, what is that advice? He said, well, I just tell all my clients when they come in here for marital advice, he said, I just tell the guys before you get up in the morning and your feet hit the ground, just turn around, look at your wife and say, I'm sorry. And she's going to look at you and say, for what? And he said, for whatever it is, I'm probably going to need forgiveness for today in your eyes. I'm going ahead and saying I'm sorry. So I'm just going to go ahead and apologize tonight ahead of time for the show. Because I got some wild stuff tonight. We're going to be here a little bit. That's why we're going a little early tonight on this Friday night. I ain't got nothing to do anyway. It's just a Friday night, right? But we're going to have guests. I normally don't like being by myself. I can do it either way. I mean, I could carry a show all week if I wanted to, but I prefer to have guests on because they tend to bring some variety of thought. But I do enjoy these one-on-one shows with you. And tonight's going to be a little potpourri of everything. We got some faith stuff mixed in. We got the political stuff. We've got some general thoughts about the country and just some things that are going on. And we hope that you're going to enjoy yourself. Pull up a chair. Now, listen, let me go ahead and get some preliminary maintenance done. You know I don't like fussing about the CHAT, and I'm not going to start. But please don't be putting paragraphs out there tonight. That's so distracting. People ain't got time to read your crap. If you're going to put a paragraph, go to your own channel and paragraph on. Go to your Facebook page, paragraph on. Go to your Twitter handle, paragraph on. Don't do it in here. It's just distracting. Just one sentence or two would be fine. We'll get your point. We'll get your point. Trust me. I'm the host of the show. Let me carry the show. We'll give you a chance to ask questions. Now, if you want to ask a question in paragraph form, I guess that'll be fine. But don't ask them right now. We'll take those in a minute. But I'm going to be with you a while tonight. But, see, I did that calmly. I did not do that with things coming out of my mouth and fire shooting from my eyes and the hat shaking, you know, like I'm some kind of whatever. But, oh, I don't even know where we need to start tonight. I do want to start with something that is bugging me bad tonight about the baseball teams. And we're going to start with the situation in L.A. And tonight, I don't know if it's tonight or sometime later this month. It may be I know it's sometime this month in June. It may be this week. I don't know, or next week. But the Dodgers are planning to invite this group right here. It's an anti-Catholic, anti-Christian group, and I don't even know the name of it. I don't care to, honestly, but it's going to be being paraded in front of you 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, Dodger fans, this month. And they have been out there before, and they've trashed Christians, and it's a very hateful, anti-Christian, anti-Catholic group. And yes, it's for Pride Night. The Braves are doing it tonight. The Mets are doing it tonight. There's a lot of baseball teams that are doing it. But I think I told, who was the guest Tuesday night? Whoever we had on here this week. Branko. I told Branko this. You know, it's a cowardly thing that MLB got them. They saw what happened to Bud Light. They saw what happened to Kohl's. They saw what happened to Target. They saw what happened to Walgreens. Cracker Barrel taking a hit because Cracker Barrel put out a thing just this week of a rocking chair with a pride flag on it and said, celebration of Pride Month, come get your rocking chair with a pride flag. And people have not been too happy with Cracker Barrel to begin with because they've been serving alcohol at their restaurant. And I'm not eating there as much myself. I probably don't plan to go back. I mean, it sucks. I mean, folks, these restaurants doing this stuff, these grocery stores, drugstores, all these department stores doing this. It just, you know, I never shopped at Target anyway, but it's just bad. But now it's entered into our sports realm. And I want to play you something of a young man, and I think he's a baseball player. I want to say this kid's a baseball player. And he spoke out. And I wanted to just say to Clayton Kershaw, he had some courage too, because he is basically telling the Dodger organization, you don't need to have these people. Now, they tried to throw an olive branch to the Christians and say, we're going to have a Christian night in August, and I wouldn't go to that. I wouldn't spend a dime on that. That's just an insult. You're going to let somebody come in and trash God, trash Jesus, trash Catholics, and it's all of us. It's not just Catholics. It's Christians. It's everybody. And then you're going to throw a bone to the Christians and say, we'll have a Christian night. Such hypocrisy. Such hypocrisy. Here's the man right here. Top Catholic MLB player finally breaks silence after viral statement calling for the immediate boycott of LA Dodgers over anti-Catholic Pride Night sends franchise into panic. It had to be said, we cannot stand idly by while the Lord gets mocked. And I'm proud of this kid. I want to play this video for you. It's about 2 minutes. It's not long. But I downloaded the interview there, and it was pretty good stuff, and I'm really proud of him. And we're going to let him say what he's got to say about the Dodgers. I want you to listen up. I'm going to turn my speaker on. And let's see here. There we go.
And like I said, that's been read 19 million times. Trevor, why did you feel so strongly that you wanted to make that statement?
It had to be said. We cannot stand idly by while our Lord gets mocked. And before I hit send, you try and do as much research as you can, right? You see the horrific videos that were posted of them. You read about what they were trying to do. These things that are deeply offensive to us. And then you see that, well, they're doing these things. They're raising money for this, that, and the other. They've been doing it for over 30 years. But it was the point when the Dodgers re-invited them after knowing very well what they've been doing for the last 30 years.
To give them a Community Hero Award.
Correct. And at that point, I looked at the Dodgers Code of Conduct, and I'm like, or the Dodgers Fan Code of Conduct, and it said you cannot wear anything or say anything that goes against anybody's age, gender, creed, religion. And at that point, it was like, this is going against their code of conduct. It's a blatant anti-Catholic message that they're sending, regardless of how much quote-unquote good they've been doing in their community.
Just Catholic.
But
it's
when I saw how deeply offensive it was, doing awful things to the cross, doing awful things about Stations of the Cross, like it became a point where these negatives are not, they shouldn't be honored. And they shouldn't mock a certain.
And that was that. And thank God they didn't play more of that. But that same group right there is the one you saw on the cross doing what they were doing. That's that group right there that the Dodgers are honoring. They're not just asking them to come and invite them. They're honoring this group as part of their Pride Night. And every baseball team in the Major League Baseball Association should be ashamed of themselves. They were going to wear fairy outfits. Seriously, they were going to wear rainbow shirts or rainbow uniforms with socks, rainbow shoes, play with gloves, of what I understand. And they got wind of it. They saw what happened. They saw what happened out here with the protest, and they said, we don't want to do that because we don't want to lose our fan base, and so we can pay our overpriced, pompous, spoiled brat Major League Baseball players more money. We can't pay them their salaries if you stop coming to the ball games. And they dressed up in their regular uniforms. I was watching the Braves clip. I was on Twitter, and I just happened to click over just to see what the Braves were doing tonight because I was curious how they dressed. They're not dressed in rainbow outfits, but they're honoring Pride Night tonight. It's a disgusting, disappointing thing to see Major League Baseball delve into this, folks. But the only one team that I have respect for at this point anymore is the Texas Rangers. And the Rangers deserve a lot of credit for not bowing to this pressure because they're not going to have a Pride Night. Now, there's a lot of pressure on them to announce one for next year, and they're not doing it. So I don't know who the owner of Texas is, but whoever you are, this Tennessee Cowboys salute you tonight. And I wished I lived closer to you because I'd become a Rangers fan. I'd go see you play baseball. I like Bruce Bochy anyway. I like your manager. It's not that I don't like my Braves, but I'm disappointed in them. I'm disappointed in all of these baseball teams, folks. Look, I love baseball. I love sports. I don't worship it. It's not an idol to me. But I love sports and this stuff that's invading these sports. Because, see, this is the thing. And I told January about this last night, the interview with her. What a great woman of God, precious woman that was with us last night. It's not so much we adults. We can sit in the stands and vomit over this and be disgusted by it. But we're adults. And we understand why they're doing it, even though we don't like it. I would never pay no money. If I knew my baseball team was doing this, I wouldn't be within 1,000,000 miles of that stadium. But there's going to be people there tonight in Atlanta. It's going to have kids with them. It's a Friday night, and it's summertime. There's going to be a lot of children, a lot of teenagers, a lot of middle school kids, 8th, 9th, 10th graders, 7th, 8th graders. It's going to sit here and witness this perversion. When they have this at Dodger Stadium, there's going to be 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 6th, 5th, 4th graders, 3rd graders that are just going there to watch baseball. I saw something on television at lunch this afternoon. It was a disgusting thing from the NBA. The openly gay player from Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets, and I don't even know his name, and he was over there literally wearing this pride shirt, and I don't mean this to be ugly, but it was as query, homo, just in your face, perverted, mocking a dance. He was sort of gyrating, and it just, I couldn't even, I turned my head when that was on. It was mainly a commercial. And it was basically saying that the NBA honors pride. Now, if they're not playing no more, the Nuggets won it all. But I guarantee you, if the NBA was still playing this month, they would have done the same thing. The NHL tried to do it, and the NFL would do it if it was going on in the fall. The Blue Jays pitcher that spoke out in support of the boycotts of Target and Kohl's and Bud Light, the Blue Jays cut him. They didn't like what he had to say, so they basically ended his career. I pray the Texas Rangers pick up his contract and he finds a job with the Rangers because the man had some class and he had some courage. But I just want to let you know that's what's going on tonight. And it ain't cool, folks. It just ain't cool to me. And I know some of you out there, well, I just don't do sports. Well, sorry, all you sainted calves that don't do sports. Some of us do, and it's disappointing. I'll say this about D.C. Conservative men took down Bud Light. Conservative women took down Target. This isn't your grandpa's Republican Party anymore. We recognize that Marxism is here, and we need to fight like hell or this country is gone. Get on board or get run over. In D.C., I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm going to read that again. Conservative men took down Bud Light. Conservative women took down Target. This isn't your grandpa's Republican Party anymore, neighbor. This ain't Romper Room. This ain't Barney. This ain't Sesame Street. This is not the first grade playground arena. This is the freaking takedown of your country by Marxist, communist, perverted agenda, militant, that wants to parade this stuff in front of your kids. And they want to groom your kids and mutilate your kids and be pedophiles to your kids and abuse your kids and your grandkids. Get on board this fight or get out of the way and get run over. Totally agree, DC. Couldn't said it better. Couldn't said it better, brother. Couldn't said it better. But these baseball teams need to be ashamed of themselves. They need to be ashamed of themselves. I think this has got more of a description of that. Last chance, Don Jr. tweeted this out. Last chance to stop the Dodgers from having an anti-Christian activist drag queens perform. That's what they're going to do tonight. It was tonight. Basically, these drag queens are going to be performing on the field at Dodger Stadium tonight. And he's asking everybody, I think this was 7 hours ago today, to sign a letter to the Dodgers. It's too late to do it now. Well, actually, it's 6 o'clock Pacific, so they're almost getting ready to play. They're not going to stop this. This won't be stopped. This will go on. And Dodgers, I hope you finish in last place. I do. I hope you go bankrupt. I truly do. I hope you go bankrupt as an organization. And I hope you don't win another baseball game for 50 years. I truly mean that. And you Christians out in L.A., nothing against you, Suzanne May. I know you're listening to Graves tonight. I love her son, Dustin. He's a good kid. He plays for this organization. He's very disappointed in him. He can't say much publicly, but I get it. But nothing personal. But I hope the Dodgers don't win another baseball game for 50 years. And I hope none of these teams do. I hope the whole thing, I hope Major League Baseball takes a hit. I do. And they get the message that you don't do this crap in front of our kids. You don't do this crap in front of our kids, and you don't slam God, you don't slam Christ, you don't slam religious families, you don't slam Christianity, you don't slam Catholics, you don't slam religious groups, and then hold your hands out and say, well, come on back here in August and let's have a family night. It's an insult to our intelligence, L.A. It's an insult to our intelligence, at least those that have a little bit of that. All righty. That's one thing I wanted to share with you. We got some more. Let me get a few of these things going. I got some things I'm sort of debating whether to show you or not, because I don't want you to disown me tonight. But anyway, we will see. We will see how the wind blows tonight. Because I don't want this to wind up on the internet after the night is over. I think Chris Aquila did this for me, my dear buddy up in Ohio, and I said, why in the world are they $1 short of $1 million? Why 999,999? I mean, come on. If they're not going to offer $1 million for me, dead or alive, I mean, that's an insult. That's an insult. That's an insult. That's all I got to say. It's nothing but an insult. Anyway, let's see what else we got. This is the maturity level of the McFiles host. Just don't ever put me on speakerphone. Don't ever put me on speakerphone. That's all I got to say. Don't ever put me on. My brothers know that. Trust me on this one. Trust me on this one. Don't put me on speakerphone when I call you. Anyway, let's see what else we got going on. By the way, this is question this is another Twitter handle. This is from Instagram. Good picture here. I should have cropped that a little bit. This is the left. This is the left. Can I choose my dinner? Nope. Can I choose my bedtime? Speaking to toddlers. Nope. Well, can I choose my gender? Of course. Of course. Perversion. 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 And dumbfoolery. I should have sent Branko a picture of the cowboy hat. That would have looked cooler with a cowboy hat on. But we'll put that back up. No dumbfoolery. But anyway. All right. Now, it gets better. I got other stuff to show tonight. We ain't going nowhere. Just a reminder. If your personality, I don't care how beautiful you are outside. If your personality's ugly, you just plain ugly. You understand that? If your personality is ugly, you're just plain ugly. I'll amen myself on that one tonight. All righty, let's see what else I can get myself in trouble with. Let's see here. I got another video I want to show you tonight. We got some breaking news, actually. I want to play this by Tucker Carlson about the would-be dictator in the White House. Fox News they're in trouble. I told you this last night. Their ratings came in. And when you are losing to MSNBC, you're screwed. And the Fox network is not drawing enough people to beat MSNBC now. Not CNN, not CNBC. No, I'm talking about the rag MSNBC that pretty much has about 5 viewers that listen to it every night. Well, Fox has got 4. And a lot of it has to do with their treatment of this man right here. But I want you to listen. I'm going to move myself over so Tucker can join me. And I will tell you, I did reach out to Tucker. He's got his messages open on Twitter. I sent him a message and I said, hey, man, we'd love to have you on the McFiles. Now, I did tell him my preferences. I said, I know this is like 1 in a million shot, but it don't hurt to ask, right? But I'd love for him to come on. We have a good time with Tucker for an hour. And I don't know if he's going to accept that or not, but we did try. But I want you to listen to what he's got to say about the pint dictator in D.C. tonight called Joe Biden.
It's Tucker Carlson. On Tuesday afternoon, the Biden administration had Donald Trump arrested. It was a pretty big news story. You may have seen it. Just before 9 p.m. that night, as part of its coverage, Fox News ran 2 live video feeds next to one another. On the right, Donald Trump addressed his supporters in New Jersey. On the left, Joe Biden spoke at an event for the Secretary General of NATO in Washington. Beneath those videos at the bottom of the screen, Fox's banner read this way, quote, "Wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested." Those words were up for less than 30 seconds, but the effect was immediate. Inside Fox, the women who run the network panicked. First, they scolded the producer who put the banner on the screen. Less than 24 hours after that, he resigned. He'd been at Fox for more than a decade. He was considered one of the most capable people in the building.
He was Tucker's
he offered
producer.
To stay for the customary 2 weeks, but Fox told him to clear out his desk and leave immediately. Then the company issued a public apology for the 27-second-long wannabe dictator line. Quote, "The Chiron was taken down immediately," Fox's PR department said, and then added ominously,
Bye-bye,
it was,
Fox.
quote, "addressed."
Bye-bye.
That was all true. But it was not enough to save Fox News from the ensuing scandal. For a time in the rest of the media, Fox's assessment of Donald Trump's arrest seemed to overshadow Trump's arrest itself. Suggesting that Biden is a dictator, declared the Washington Post, quote, "crossed the line." Alexander Vindman agreed strongly. Vindman is the perennial MSNBC guest and full-time Ukraine promoter you may remember from Russiagate.
Yep.
On Twitter, he demanded that the Pentagon pull Fox News from all military bases. It is, quote, "absolutely unacceptable for American Forces
Bye-bye,
Network
Fox.
to carry programming that directly, spuriously, attacks the Commander-in-Chief of American Armed Forces," Vindman wrote. In other words, Joe Biden must ban all criticism of himself because that's what non-dictators do. John Cusack went further still. For the crime of calling Biden a dictator, Fox should be shut down, wrote the 80s-era movie star. Quote, "The government has to take away their broadcasting license," and so on. It was all over the internet. Democrats were very, very angry. But why were they angry? If the banner on Fox was false, why the hysteria?
Exactly.
Lies don't seem to bother anyone anymore. If some cable news producer had called Joe Biden a genius or accused him of being secretly Sudanese, would anyone be yelling about it?
Dummies.
Would Fox News have apologized for it? Probably not. But calling Joe Biden a wannabe dictator, that stung. So you've got to wonder, if you're being honest with yourself, is Joe Biden a wannabe dictator?
Yes.
That question came up yesterday at the White House briefing. Here's how it went.
Last night, Fox News ran a chyron that referred to the president as a wannabe dictator, and I'm wondering if the White House has any comment on that.
Another winner.
There are probably about 787 million things that I can say about this. That
please.
was wrong.
Oh,
About what we
please.
saw last night, but I don't think I'm going to get into it.
There's no comment the White House has
I
on
think I just
Let me stop her right there. That was wrong. No, I tell you what was wrong, Jean-Pierre, is your doped up president filling up an actress last night on national television is tweeting all over Twitter of the pervert that he is. I tell you what's wrong, Jean-Pierre, is $5 a gallon gas. I tell you what's wrong, Jean-Pierre, is your administration promoting pedophilia and promoting transgenderism and flying the flag of the queers all over the White House and flying the flag of pride over the White House and letting people walk around butt naked and showing their self to kids all over D.C. That's what's wrong. Not this. Excuse me for the little rough language there.
No comment necessary.
Come on, Tucker.
Of course Joe Biden's
Come
not
on.
a wannabe dictator. Just because he's trying to put the other candidate in prison for the rest of his life for a crime he himself committed doesn't mean he has a totalitarian impulse. Come on, that's absurd. It takes a lot more than jailing your political rivals to earn the title wannabe dictator.
You know,
That's the
wannabe, he
consensus
is.
in Washington tonight. And in some ways, for once, the consensus may be right. It is not a small thing to be a wannabe dictator. It's quite a process. There are a lot of steps.
Come on, Tucker.
First off, there is the money. The one thing that all dictators have in common is they enrich themselves and their families, their tribe, even as the countries they govern grow steadily poorer and more desperate. They take kickbacks from businesses and from other dictators. They use the official functions of their government to funnel cash to themselves. They don't bother to hide the fruits of this. They live in garish mansions with big lawns, far from the teeming cities, even as their own citizens languish in growing poverty, in some cases literally living in tents on the street.
Come on, buddy.
So they don't really hide it. It's all pretty
Talk it.
blatant.
Talk
And
it.
ordinary people resent it. Of course they do. And wannabe dictators know they resent it. But they don't care. There's nothing the population can do about it in a dictatorship. It's no longer possible to fight injustice in a system like that. People can't gather in large numbers to protest the rule of the dictator. If they try that, they'll be arrested by his state security services, even years after the fact. A visit for men in body armor at the breakfast table. That happens. And if citizens persist in believing they can gather in groups to protest, they may be shot to death, a bullet to the throat. And then, just to make the humiliation complete, to make the lesson gin clear to everyone else watching, their relatives can be arrested for daring
right.
to complain that
That's
their
right,
children
Tucker.
were killed for complaining.
That's right.
That actually happens in some places.
Yes, it does.
Ask Ashley Babbitt's mother. Here she is in handcuffs.
You murdered her inside the Capitol, now you're going to arrest her? Come out of there.
Ashley Babbitt was the one that got killed on January 6th.
So don't be like Ashley Babbitt's mother, much less like poor Ashley Babbitt. She's dead now.
She's dead.
That's the message a
She's
wannabe
dead.
dictator would send. And by the way, it's not just public protest that would be banned in a dictatorship. You wouldn't be allowed to complain from your own home. Unauthorized opinions expressed on the internet would be censored. Go too far, press too deep, tell too much truth, and they'll just erase your opinions. They have
Yep.
no choice, really. It's a matter, as they say, of trust and safety. You must trust the leader, or else you will jeopardize his safety. Not that you really can jeopardize his safety at this point. The leader has nuclear weapons, and you don't. He'll remind you of that from time to time. And in any case, you're in the process of being disarmed anyway, along with everyone else who has shown questionable loyalty to the leader. Those who support the regime can keep their weapons and use them freely, including on public transportation. That's a core civil right for them. But for those who dissent from the program, self-defense is an unaffordable privilege. Turn in your guns, Mr. and Mrs. Peaceful Opposition. You're a danger to society, and we know who you are. And in fact, the wannabe dictator does know who they are because he knows everything. Technology has made him all-seeing.
Very true.
A report in Wired magazine
Very
just
true.
this week revealed that the highly non-dictatorial Biden administration is busy tracking the phones of millions of Americans without their knowledge and without bothering to get a warrant. And at the same time, the same non-dictatorial administration is stockpiling a massive trove of damaging information about these same Americans, to be used at some point, we are sure, for entirely noble purposes. So the administration now knows everything: where you spend your days, who you talk to, what you think, your porn habits. Not a big deal. The administration already knows what you buy, of course, because they've leaned on the big banks to turn over your confidential credit
Bank of
card
America.
information. Not because anyone here is a wannabe dictator, to be clear, but just because. It's nice to have that information, just in case, in the words of the Fox News PR department, a situation arises that needs to be, quote, addressed. It's all totally normal. It's not a dictatorship, okay? But in the end, the main reason Joe Biden is not a wannabe dictator is because he just does not fit the profile as a man. Dictators have that look. You know one when you see one. Dictators build cults of personality around themselves, and they use those cults to deny the glaringly obvious. In his later years, to name just one example, North Korean dictator Kim Il-sung developed an enormous baseball-sized tumor on the back of his neck.
Yikes.
It was huge. It was grotesque. It was right there. You couldn't ignore it. You couldn't possibly not see it. But in North Korea, state media did ignore it. They pretended it didn't exist. And so, in some important sense, it didn't. If a tumor grows on a neck but no one acknowledges it, is it really there? Thankfully, nothing like that is happening in our country or ever will. If Joe Biden ever developed some profound physical or medical problem that was obvious to everybody, journalists would say something. This is not North Korea. We don't have state media here. If Joe Biden was, say, incapable of completing a full sentence, or mistook his sister for his wife, or suddenly started falling down in public for no reason, the New York Times would report on that and then get to the bottom of what was actually happening. That would be its duty in a free country like ours. It's not like they would cover it up. The very idea of a cover-up sounds like a conspiracy theory, a dangerous one, actually, so stop it. And by the way, if Joe Biden was a wannabe dictator, he'd have the family to match. All dictators do. Saddam Hussein had Uday and Qusay. They were princelings who lived above the law,
Listen carefully to what
indulging
he's
their most
saying
decadent
tonight,
fantasies with
Careful.
total confidence. They would be never held to account by the police. As the sons of a dictator, they knew they could do exactly what they wanted. And so that's what they
carefully
did.
to what he said.
There's no one like that around Joe Biden. He doesn't have weird sex scandals at the heart of his family that no one in the media will ever talk about. He doesn't have a ne'er-do-well former nightclub-owning brother who's made a living for 30 years by being related to him. Not at all. That's dictator stuff. Joe Biden doesn't award ridiculous inflated titles to his relatives that the media are then required to take seriously. He doesn't call people doctor who didn't go to medical school and then force you to nod along like it's real when everyone knows it isn't. Nicolae Ceausescu did that with his wife Elena. Joe Biden would never do that. Nor does Joe Biden dress like a dictator. He doesn't do photo ops in mirrored sunglasses driving a sports car to convince you that he isn't frail and senile, but instead powerful, virile, and wise. That's just not his style. If Joe Biden was a dictator, he'd be wearing epaulets and carrying a tasseled riding crop, and he isn't yet, so calm down. If he was a dictator, Biden's speeches would look like Nuremberg rallies, a blood-red backdrop, armed soldiers by his side, screaming about crushing his eternal enemies. Honestly, Biden did come close to that one time last September at his speech in Philadelphia. But it wasn't in any sense dictatory. It was necessary. As MSNBC assured us at the time, quote, Biden aimed to showcase his faith in the military apparatus and its ability to back the democratic order. See, it was about democracy, not dictatorship. No cause for alarm. He is not a dictator. A dictator would stockpile ammunition for his own bureaucrats, including his tax collectors. He'd redefine the legal code to make disloyalty to the regime the most serious crime. He'd claim dominion over the most intimate parts of his citizens' lives. He'd define what attitudes they were allowed to have about sex and religion and how to raise their families. He would even, in his final grandiose stage of dictatorship, claim ownership of their children. And Joe Biden wouldn't do that.
That's exactly what they're doing.
And to prove he would never do that, Biden just this week released this video.
These are our kids. These are our neighbors. Not somebody else's kids. They're all our kids. And our children are the kite strings that hold our national ambitions aloft. It matters a great deal how we treat everyone in this country. LGBTQ Americans, especially children, you're loved, you're heard, and this administration has your back.
See? Joe Biden isn't saying your children belong to him like a dictator would. He's saying something very different from that. He's saying America's children are, quote, our children. Not his alone, ours. You share your children with Joe Biden, evenly, right down the middle, with alternating weekends.
The government.
You've got joint custody with Joe Biden, and you can thank heaven that you do. A nation is like a family. Every family has a head, a father. That's Joe Biden, our nation's father. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is now his fatherland. Just don't call it a dictatorship, or we'll have to issue a statement disavowing you.
Good stuff. By the way, Tucker got more views on that one video than Fox has had in 3 weeks. Tucker is kicking their butt. They are trying to get him silenced. That right there is the power behind Joe Biden. I got to share something with you. Hadn't shared it in a long time. And as I was listening to this, it reminded me of Veronica West's vision of what happened in 2020. And Veronica's a dear friend. She's trying to get her to come on the show. She had a dream. She had a dream right after the situation that took place in the fall of 2020. And I think of all the things I heard about what happened, hers was the best explanation. And I really believe it was from God. And I'll make this quick. She saw 2 rooms in a house. And in this dream, she walked into this one room, and there was a snake laying on the bed. It was looked dead. But it wasn't moving whatsoever. And the Lord spoke to her and said, move forward, get closer. And she moves closer to this snake that's laying on the bed. And the second that she gets probably within 5 feet of that snake or less, that thing just comes to life and coils into this viper, this venomous viper. And it's not long enough to strike at her. She's a little bit away from it, but it tries to strike. She knew it was poisonous. She flees from the room. In just a few seconds, she says she's in another room. And in this room, it's foggy. It's foggy. And she sees a rattlesnake, or hears it. She don't see it, but she hears it. And if you've ever been from South Georgia or the Appalachians or anywhere that has rattlesnakes, you know what a rattle means. When you hear a rattle, and that's his warning mechanism to you to get away from me. You're close enough. I'm going to bite you if you don't move out of my way. When you're hearing that rattle, that's his warning that he's going to strike. And in this vision, again, the same vision she was having, dream, whatever it was, the Lord said, move forward again. Well, she moves forward this time, and that rattlesnake, its head has been cut off, but his rattle is still going. His rattle is still going. Now, people will tell you that even if a rattlesnake's head is off and you touch his head, that head can strike. You better be careful when you see a rattlesnake's head cut off. There's been people that have tried to do that, and that head has still got enough power in it to bite. But she ran from this, woke up in a sweat with the dream, and the Lord told her this. Let me put that picture back up that I just showed you, because this picture illustrates this. He said the country here in America looked at the one in the picture as that dead snake. We thought he was incompetent. We thought he was an Alzheimer's patient. We thought Trump would run over him 80-1. That's what we thought, because that's how he acted. I personally believe it's always been an act myself, but that's just me. That's my opinion. I don't think he's incompetent at all. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. But this is what the Lord said to her. He said the church did not see the power behind him. That they didn't see the power and discern that there was, even though he looked dead, there was a venomous power behind him. And you say, what does the rattlesnake represent? The Lord told her that if the church would come to him and come together, that he would cut the head off the snake. Even though there will be a lot of rattling, he is committed to making sure that the head of this snake is cut off over our country, folks. It's cut off over this country. You're hearing a lot of rattling tonight. You hear a lot of rattling. The snake's in the White House, but the power behind it is that figure in that picture right there. And whoever drew this makes the mistake of drawing Satan with a pitchfork and horn. That's not Satan. He's an angel of light. I want you to let that sink in. Let that sink in. All righty. Let me move on. This is a good one. Cleo, thank you for this. And I like this. This is from Family Voice Australia. I just want to remind you tonight, this was the first Pride Month. When Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven, this was the first Pride Month. And it destroyed that first earth. If you've been with us on our morning Bible studies, you've been learning that. But good one. That's an excellent meme right there. It's not a meme, it's the truth. By the way, here's another good one. Chinese third graders are learning advanced calculus. American third graders are learning that men can have periods. I'm sure that this is going to end well. It will not 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 end well. I got more. You got me for a while. You got me for a while. Let's see here. I'm not going to dignify this much, but I do want to show you this picture. This is trending all over Twitter. There's your president tonight in public view of everything, and I'll just let you Google the story. That's Eva Longoria. She's a liberal loon anyway, but even the liberal loons are getting felt up by Joe Biden. She got felt up. By the way, this is probably not something I should post, but somebody nailed it about the FBI following Biden's instructions. I've got a better title for them, but I can't say it tonight because this is a family show, but Chris is never here. Chris was not here. I got to lower that hat a little bit so you can see that. I'll put the cowboy hat on later. It's time for the I was never here hat now. All right, I promise I'm going to get to your questions tonight. I still got some stuff, but I'm going to get to your questions. I'm going to get to your questions. Did you hear about this one? That Mr. Bill Gates, this is today, was meeting in China with Xi. And somebody on Twitter pointed out that, unless he got permission, and I don't know what he's talking to Xi about, but there's a lot of legality questions of whether he should have even been over there anyway, talking to a foreign government. That's an avowed enemy of the country, but in this world, they're not. Breaking story tonight. I'm going to save that one for a minute. By the way, this is a good one. The GOP, the grand old party. I got another term for that GOP I can't say either. The GOP couldn't even censor this pile of excrement. Retweet. They said if you feel like the GOP failed America, I could retweet that and agree with that. If they can't even censor him, they're not going to fight for you. They're not going to fight for you. By the way, let me remind you that more votes that are tallied when you don't have a registered voter, it's not a software glitch. That's stealing an election, and it's treason. It's treason. It's treasonous to do that. It's not a software glitch. Has nothing to do with the software, and I'm sort of sick of hearing about the machines. No, it ain't a machine problem, folks. It's a corruption problem. You need to get rid of these crooked governors and these crooked legislators and these crooked election officials and these crooked secretary of states, and you'd see a difference in these states. Look, the only states, folks, that we complained about with the election fraud, election fraud. The only states we complained about were the ones we lost. It's amazing that we didn't have this problem in Tennessee. We didn't have a problem in Florida. We didn't have the problem in most states. But the states that they targeted were corrupt governors, corrupt secretary of states, including my home state of Georgia. We talked about that last night. They're not even going to look at this stuff till after 2024. They got evidence, corroborated evidence that those machines were fraudulent. And Ratzenberger has said, I'm not looking at it till 2024. So You get the corruption out of the officials, the other stuff will follow, folks. The other stuff will follow. We got our eyes on the wrong thing. But again, you can thank the letter movement for that and other things. But get the corruption out of your officials, and the other stuff will follow. The other stuff will follow. Anyway. All right, now, a couple of things I want to share with you tonight. This is a breaking story. I don't know how much this is going to be corroborated. I'll follow this next week because I got some folks coming on going to talk about this. Tonight, we mentioned last night that there was reports out that the Burisma this past week paid Big Joe, the big guy, and the little guy $5 million apiece, $10 million. $10 million miraculously appeared as a cash payment on Joe Biden's tax returns in 2017 fell out of the blue. It's a miracle. I wish I had that kind of miracle. It's a miracle. I got $10 million. Whoops, I'm sorry. I forgot to report that. Oops. Well, that ain't $10 million tonight. According to Comer, and I ain't got time to read the article, but you can go to our war room. We've got it in our McFiles war room. You can find it at McFiles.org. They now believe it's not $10 million, it's $30 million that they received from foreign nationals together. And we'll see. Rudy was talking about it last night. We'll see if this comes to fruition. We'll see what happens with the investigation. But if this is proven true, folks, that again is treason, and that's what dictators do. And by the way, this took place while he was vice president. Not even now. This is back in the Obama years when he was vice president. By the way, let me remind you about this document scam with Trump, which is a document scam. President Trump had a right to declassify and take home any documents he wanted to. The documents that they found in Joe Biden's house was when he was a senator and when he was vice president. He had no authority to take any document home. There's a video out with Kevin McCartney today. I was really proud of Kevin. A CNN reporter was trying to trash Trump to him, and McCartney basically asked her to her face. He said, where is your concern about the sitting president taking documents back when he was vice president or a senator? There's no concern over that. It's just Trump did it. Trump. And I got something to say about that in a minute more. But follow this story. Follow the money. It will lead back to the Bidens. I just hope something to be done about it. A couple other things that I'm going to change course a little bit tonight. By the way, this is Patriots doing. If you want to get offended, go ahead and get offended. But he sent me this, but I got to share it. It's your fault, Patriot, 1776. This is your fault. But it is Friday night, this and that, McFoolery. And I got you till 10 o'clock. So I'm going to keep you till 10. You got me for another 30 minutes. But did you know that this is a tweet from Dr. Anastasia Maria Lupus, is that her name? Dr. Loupis? I don't know. But a Penn State professor has been arrested for having sex with his dog. No joke. This ain't a joke. This is an actual case. He's a Hillary Clinton donor. It don't matter what kind of donor he is. That's perversion. I don't care what donor he's a man. It has nothing to do with what kind of donor he is. Folks, that's how sick your country's got. And that's what you have happen when you allow men to marry men and women to marry women and claim that everything is open under the sun. That was a chilling statement that Joe Biden said this week at the Pride event, that there are children, that these are our children. They're not your children. These are our children. These are our families. Who in the blanking you-know-what does he think he is? Well, our children are being basically heralded by people like this man that's being probably taught our children, Joe, not your children, you individual, that's basically having sex with dogs, and he's probably teaching your kids at Penn State that it's okay to do that. I told you it's going to be a rough show tonight. That's why I got the I was not here hat on. All right, it gets better. By the way, I got another clip to play. For you Pennsylvania folks, I see Emily Courtney out there tonight. This is no reflection on Emily. I'm saying this to the Pennsylvanians, all the other Pennsylvanians except Emily Courtney. how you elected John Fetterman to be your representative in Congress, and you can say, well, it was voter fraud. No, a lot of you just sit down and didn't vote because you didn't like odds. Well, you got somebody tonight, and we sadly had to report that I-95, there was a bridge collapse in I-95 in Philadelphia, and I think some people got hurt. Well, he was on the Hill today talking about it. He didn't know that I-95 was a highway. I want you to watch carefully. This is your Pennsylvania representative. I hope you're proud, Pennsylvania. This is your guy.
No, I would just really like to, the 95,
look at his aide in the back.
Obviously, that you're pretty much preoccupied with 95, and I certainly am too. And we know it's a major eatery, not just for
Let me
Pennsylvania.
stop that. He thought it was a restaurant, a major eatery. He did not know that I-95 was a highway. Now, the poor girl, and folks, I'm not making fun of his disability. I'm not. It has nothing to do with his disability. I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm praying for John Fetterman. He needs prayer. He has no business being a representative in Congress when you don't even know a highway in your own state is a highway and you think it's an eatery.
For the East
His own words.
East Coast.
East
And
Coast.
a lot of Pennsylvanians are worried that the delays in repairs bring to its standstill deal.
Standstill deal. He wasn't talking about traffic. He was talking about the standstill deal at the eatery, like a lunch special. Look. Anyway. Dumb. All right, now, don't know if you heard this one tonight. I'm about to get to your questions. I ain't forgot about y'all out there. I think it's been pretty award-winning stuff already tonight. Well, it's about to get better. Did you hear what Mike Pence said today about Donald Trump? This one's going to make you feel really good, all you Pence folks out there. Sebastian Gorka tweeted out tonight that he said, I never thought I'd say this, that Pence has no honor. Well, guess what? He don't. Let's listen to what he's got to say. This is Mike Pence today. After the hat. Okay, we saw the hat one time. Come on.
Number one, I don't think you know what the president's defense is, do you? I mean, what are the facts? I mean, look, we either believe in our judicial process in this country or we don't. We either stand by the rule of law or we don't. I just, what I would tell you is I think as someone who
But what I'm hearing is you're fine with Donald Trump being put in prison, sir, and that, to me, since you were his vice president, feels pretty disrespectful.
I had a standard rule. I don't talk about hypotheticals. Look, we don't know what the president's defense here is. I think he's entitled to make his defense, entitled to have his day in court. And look, let's take it one step at a time. But I would just tell you that
but if you know that these are political charges, and you do, this is not a difficult decision.
Clay, I think we've gotten what we're going to get here in terms of an answer to this one.
What was that? I heard Clay Travis at the beginning, and then at the end, wasn't that our buddy Buck shutting down the questioning, Jeff?
Buck,
yeah,
Sexton.
But that was in his defense. I cut out like 3 minutes before this.
Okay.
Over again, yeah.
All right. Thank you for the context. That was, of course, my former colleague in the White House, Mike Pence, on the Buck Sexton Clay Travis show, saying basically, I don't support the president anymore, and that you've got to trust the judicial system. Why?
Good question, Sebastian. I don't have no fondness of him, but I'll just say that I agree with him on this one. I'm going to come back over to the live screen. What you just heard, folks, was a question that was posed to Mike Pence. Would you pardon Trump in the weird, wild world that if you get elected president and Trump is found guilty of these crimes, would you pardon him? And he said no. No, we got to let the process make. This is rich coming from Mike Pence. I predicted this, and by the way, all you Kuhneman lovers, this is your guy that Hank's promising that's going to be your president. I had to throw that one in tonight. I hadn't thrown any barbs yet. It's 9:30. The night is young, and Chris was never here. All you Kuhneman folks, I hope you're getting geared up. This is your next president, according to what Hank's been out there telling people over the last 6 months. But Pence is basically telling you that I don't care what happens to Trump. I'm not going to pardon him if he does get convicted of this sham trial. And it's amazing that on the day that they cleared Mike Pence of charges, they went after Trump that night. And Mike Pence had stuff at his house too. And he was a vice president. He had no right having anything at his house. So, that's politics at its best. But we'll follow that story. I just want to say this, that these two are trying to throw Trump in jail because everybody knows that Joe didn't get 81 million votes, and I think that's fair enough. I'll leave that one alone. I can't dwell on that. I'll get my channel yanked. By the way, this is my dear, I wouldn't say dear friend, but I would just say Carol Swain. I tried to get her on the show. She's a good lady. She's over in Nashville, former professor at Vanderbilt, written a lot of good books, and she's a great voice for conservative Americans. She says this today. She says conservatives should read Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals if you truly want to understand the deception, infiltration, and manipulation that has allowed the left and the right to take over our churches, schools, and government institutions. President Obama was a master genius of this. It was not just Obama. It was all of them. You say, well, what does she mean by Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals? Well, let me see if I can find that download because I put him up for you just here. This is what, if you read that book, now I'm going to have to make this screen big and cover my face, which I know some of you are probably okay with, but these are the rules for radicals. Number one, power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Never go outside the expertise of your people. Whenever possible, go outside the expertise of the enemy. Make the enemy live up to its own book of rules. Ridicule is man's most potent weapon. There is no defense. It is almost impossible to counterattack ridicule. Also, it infuriates the opposition, who then react to your advantage. That's exactly what they've been doing, folks, since 2016. By the way, you realize tonight is 8 years to the day that President Trump and Melania walked down that escalator and announced his run for president. Use a good tactic is one your people enjoy. A tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. Pardon the pun. Keep the pressure on. The threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. That's what they're doing. They're threatening tonight things that are more concerning than what they're actually threatening you over. The major premise for tactics is the development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure upon the opposition. If you push a negative hand and deep enough, it will break through into its counterside that is based on the principle that every positive has its negative. The price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative, and pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Folks, if you don't believe that that is exactly what they are doing tonight with these agendas, that is exactly right. This 13th, I don't have my widget up tonight. I wished I did. Let me see if I can get my famous whiteboard out on this Friday night. I know I'm keeping you a little bit tonight. I ain't forgot about you out there. But look at this. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. That is Saul Alinsky 101. Guess who he dedicated that book to? And here's the cover of that book, if you've ever dared read it. He died in 1972. I was 7 years old that year. Hillary Clinton, that's her mentor. That's Obama's mentor. He dedicated that book to Satan. He says, I dedicate this to the first rebel. And he dedicated it to Satan, and Satan has used that book to destroy mine and your country tonight, and many a soul. All right, now, are you enjoying yourself out there? Let me do a few more memes, and I'm going to get to you. Patriotism is not obedience to government, folks. Patriotism is obedience to the principles for which government is supposed to stand. I can say amen to that. Let me remind you to never give up without a fight. They may take us down, folks, but it's not a shame to die fighting. It's a shame to die cowards. And it's a shame to die without giving a fight. By the way, I'm going to follow this story right here. I've got something to say about Bill Barr. We are being told tonight, and I've got the story up. Let me see if I can find this story. I want to see this story if I can find it tonight. Bill Barr, if I can find it. Oh, where is it? Well, shoot. There it is right here. Hang on just a second. I want to read this story tonight. If you'll give me a few more minutes, I'm going to get to your questions here in a second. You got a few minutes to give me? It's just 9:30. You ain't got nothing to do. It's just 6:30 out west. 6:30 out west. I've enjoyed this tonight. I didn't think I'd enjoy this as much as I have, but I have enjoyed this. This is a breaking story tonight from the Doug Billings Report. Bill Barr, the award-winning, and I say that loosely, Attorney General, that for whatever God knows why, that Trump put him in office at the advice of George Bush Jr., which again, that is another issue of why would you put somebody in at the advice of George Bush Jr. It's saying tonight that he has admitted that he was very much aware that the accusation basically regarding the Bidens he knew about in 2020, but he did not notify the public of the possible crimes committed by Joe Biden. He said he did not want to tell anybody before the election, and so forth. This is a terrible screen here, the way they saved it. I can't get it. I tell you what, we've got this. I will tell you this. I'm going to take this screen off and come back. Go to our McFiles War Room, and you can read that article for yourself. It didn't save right on that. That's a loser right here. I'm going to say this to folks. This was Trump's pick. It's Trump's pick. You can't escape that. I can't escape that. Trump can't escape that. This is the man that he put in charge of his Justice Department after the failed Jeff Sessions. Trump ain't got nobody to blame but himself. And you can say, well, that's Bill Barr's fault. No, it's Trump's fault. That's Trump's fault. Bill Barr shouldn't have been in that office. If he knew about these crimes that the Bidens were committed and he did nothing, that should tell you everything you need to know why he has done what he's done and why there was no arrest made of anybody during the Trump years. Because he would have been the one bringing the arrests, as was Sessions supposed to be bringing everybody, basically, that is crooked and criminal. One final thing tonight. I got more, but I'm going to call it quits. Let me get this straight. A party that supports abortion over life, illegals over its own citizens, and refugees over its homeless veterans is going to lecture us on morals? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Good one, Sam Elliott. That's a good one. Got a few things here I want to share here tonight. I do want to, this is going to be a spiritual one here. My dear friend, and I say she's my friend, I would love to have her on the show. I've really enjoyed her book, and she's really been hitting it out of the park. I want to make it clear to you folks, do not be deceived. New Age practices may seem comforting, accurate, and helpful because the devil mixes in truth and lies to deceive and mislead people away from Jesus and the Bible. That's tarot cards, yoga. That's yoga poses right there, folks. It's New Age. 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 And she says, who said this? Oh, this is from Jamie. Children shouldn't be deciding if they want to be a boy or girl. God already did it for them. Amen to that one. Amen to that one. Miss Wright, good one. A very good one. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed this. Joel preached on the God who crossed his arms. There is a biblical sermon about that. Doreen pointed out, or somebody did, that this is the god that crosses his arms. That's Osiris. That's the Egyptian god of the underworld. Now, I don't know if that's the god Joel is referring to. It's probably not. But when you hear these feel-good sermons, remember they're laced with that right there. They're laced with New Age humanism, and I can get more into that later, but we will this week. Next week, we're going to be addressing this more directly. Can't do it tonight because my time is slipping on me. But I hope you've enjoyed the show. Now, if you've got a question, if you got a question for me, please put it in the chat room, and I'll read it. It is good to see everybody. And if you got a question, put it in the chat room. I'll take your questions tonight. Let me see if I can come over here to Facebook, because I always do this with the YouTube. By the way, did you hear about that priest up in Spencer, Massachusetts, that was blaspheming God, and God struck his church down with lightning? That happened. That's happened. If you got a question, good to see all our Facebook audience in there tonight. Really is. Good to see our YouTube. We're going to talk about the church being called. Hey, Ron Edwards is in the house. Ron, good to see you tonight, buddy. We're going to get Ron on the show next week, one night next week, a week after. It's good to see him. Was on his show today. I appreciate him. And I always appreciate going on. And we have such a good time together. He's a good man, him and Denise, both of them. If you got a question, real quick, put it in the house. Got a comment, anything. I got about 10 minutes, 9:45 tonight, and get you out here. I've been going. How long have I been going tonight? I've been going exactly 1 hour and 14 minutes. I'll give you 15 more. You got a question? Anything? Say it. I'll take your questions. If you want to email me a question, you don't want to put it in public, McFilesforum@gmail.com. Janice says, Chris, I have to say that the Project Bluebeam gave me a good laugh. I needed one. We live in a Marvel comic book society, don't we? That's what happens when adults never grow up. And Janice, you're absolutely right, my dear. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, that's exactly right. How will Trump win the White House? Joe, I have no idea. A lot of prayer. That's all I gotta say. Spit, choke, and puke. I don't know why you're asking what time we're on. We're on every night around 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern. Between 8 and 9 every night, Monday through Friday. Wednesday night's a face show, but we're here every night. Do you think they will stop President Trump and jail him? Julia, I don't know. I really don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. It's a flip of the coin. I think the case itself is a sham. In this messed up world of justice, anything's possible. Anything's possible. I hope his attorneys are smart, but even having smart attorneys, I can't be for sure. I don't know anything right now. Anyway, I love it. Let's see here. Crystal was talking about Leonard Ravenhill. Leonard Ravenhill's a good man. He's a revivalist. He is a revivalist. Good man. Janice, good to see you tonight, and I hope you took what I said to you last night in love, dear. I wasn't as I was sharing on the show, I do believe that, and you speaking of the Marvel book comics, Janice, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to tell you something. There's some teachers out there that have went as far as to say that these Marvel book characters are for real. And it borders on Greek mythology. So anyway. Betty, there was a lot of prayer in 2020 for Trump. There sure was. But I think Veronica West's vision was also correct. We didn't understand the evil behind Biden. We didn't see the evil behind Biden. Carol Smith says, when I think I've heard everything, each day proves me wrong. I'll agree. Where's Kamala Harris been lately? Julia, your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. Mary Cleveland, did you see the story of the German church that had a service with an AI figure? I did. I did see that. And it was a blasphemous service, Mary. It sure was. And it was a sign of things to come. By the way, one more meme. I want to share something tonight with you all. And let's see here. Where is that? I want to show you something. And I want to say that, I can't remember who put this up, but I want to say it. Where is that? Please let me find that because it's very important. I want to show it to you. Let's see here. It's got to be in this folder here. Give me 1 minute. I got to find something that's very important. Here it is, right here. I want you to listen to me carefully tonight, folks. Listen carefully to me. Any voice that draws you away from being planted in a church subtly breeds rebellion amongst God's people. Now, I'm going to deal with this in the Faith shows. Now, I want to say this about Sunday. We got a special Sunday program. My son, Brandon, is going to be with me Sunday afternoon into the evening. We're not going to have Sunday morning meeting time. It's Father's Day. I'm going to be with him, well, with my family, with my grandkids. But I talked to him tonight. Me and him are coming on together Sunday. I'm not going to deal with it this Sunday, but the following week's Faith program and next Sunday, I'm going to deal with this a little bit more. Any voice, folks, you better listen to me, that's drawing you away from being planted in a church, they're breeding rebellion against God and against God's people. And you say, well, I can't find a good church. Start one. Start one in your home. You say, well, I can't fellowship with God's people, then you got a bigger problem than a church. You got a bigger problem than a certain covering. The Bible says nothing but like this. It tells you to do not forsake the assembling of yourselves together. Now, on Sundays, we have church here on the internet when we can. On Wednesday nights, we have service. You're welcome to come in and fellowship with us here. But any voice that draws you away from being planted in a church, and we're praying about starting a church one day. I don't know when, where, how, or whatever. But you need to be in a Bible-believing, Bible-teaching fellowship. If you can't find one where you're at, we're right here every Sunday. And you need to come in and fellowship with us and pray and sing with us and listen to the messages. It's rebellion against God and against God's people, folks, these voices that are drawing you away from that. And there's many that are. And they're using all these excuses about the church. And then these same voices are the same ones questioning God's word, claiming that there's something not quite right with the Bible. It's the first question that Satan asked Eve when he said, has God said this to you? Has God not said? It's subtlety. It's subtlety. It's the same source. You can believe that or not. You don't have to agree with that. I agree with it. And you better be careful. But Janice, thank you for your comment last night. And thank you for your email, hon. And I really appreciated what you said. I understand. The Marvel book stuff, I don't know if you know this or not. There's people out there literally teaching Marvel book comics are real. They are. They're believing these figures are real. I'm not joking. And the Project Bluebeam gave me a laugh too, Jay. Trust me. But I love you, and I'm praying for your family, dear. As always, you're a dear friend, dear part of this show. We appreciate you much. Couple other things, and we'll go back to your questions here. This is Doreen Birch's thing today. I love this. Christian astrology, Christian witchcraft, Christian yoga, Christian enneagram. The enneagram is those personality things, folks. She says, putting the word Christian in front of a pagan practice does not Christianize paganism. It's paganism. It's paganism, folks. It's paganism. And just because you attach the word Christian to your rock bands, don't make it worship music. I'll amen myself on a Friday night. I'll amen myself on a Friday night. Ron gets the point. Unfortunately, many church ministers are rebelling against God's word by not teaching the true word of God. They are. They are. They are doing just that, my friend. They are doing just that. Naomi says, would you vote for DeSantis if Trump cannot run? I don't think that's going to happen. Naomi, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. How about that? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I ain't worried about that right now. Tricia says, I live in Frisco, and so many churches are New Age. They are. There's no prayer at all. That's exactly right. How about the American citizens evacuating Tehran? Corey, I hadn't heard about that. I'll look into that. That's interesting. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. If they are, that's a bad sign. That means something's about to happen down there. That's not a good sign. Lex Montgomery, do you think Trump will have to answer questions about his vaccine push during the election? I'm wondering how he will handle that one. Well, Lexi, your guess is as good as mine. It doesn't help. It doesn't help him, I can tell you that. But this war between him and DeSantis don't help anybody either. This war between him and DeSantis does not help anybody either. Naomi, your question about would I vote for DeSantis? Well, I can tell you this, I ain't voting for Joe Biden. I think me and Ron Edwards need to run a Mac Edwards ticket or an Edwards Mac ticket. I think that's what we need to do. And we'll just solve this problem right now. You won't have to worry about it. But no, look, my vote's on Trump right now, folks. I mean, I'm supporting the president. I believe he's the answer for right now. And unless the Lord deals with my heart otherwise, I'm going to. You ain't got, and I'm going to warn you tonight, there's people already, and I'm already hearing it. Well, I ain't going to vote. I don't like any of them. I can't stand any of them. Well, I'll tell you what, and I know Ron Edwards is going to amen this. You sit on your keister. You sit on your keister and you don't go vote. But I better not hear one word from you complaining about the country if Joe Biden gets reelected because you didn't go vote. And that's what we do. We moan and we groan about our nation, and there's a percentage of Christians that did not vote at all in 2020. Oh, there were many that did. I'm not saying it was not a lot. There was a lot of Christians that went out and voted, but there was several million that didn't. And folks, these margins in these states that he supposedly lost, which I don't believe he did, were razor thin. 20,000, 30,000 votes at the most. None of them were over 50,000. And if we'd have had 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 6 million more Christians go out and vote, it wouldn't have mattered what they tried to do. It wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have been able to pull that many fake ballots in. Now, you don't have to believe that, but Ron Edwards was preaching it today about the sorriness of the church and the laziness of the church and the apathy of the church and the apathy of Christian believers. And then we wonder why our country's in the pisser and the abyss of hell that it's in. We have nobody to look at but ourselves. And we better get busy fighting for our nation. And Chris was never here tonight. We hope you've enjoyed this McFile Friday night. Man, you got your money's worth out of this one tonight. Goodness gracious. You got your money's worth. You got your money's worth out of this one. You got your money's worth out of this one. You got your money's worth. Lisa says, thank you for the laughter tonight in these crazy days. Just for you, Stanifer. Just for you. There's a wrong way. Got to turn it right way. Eddie Cole would kill me if he saw me wearing this hat the wrong way tonight. Let me turn it the right way. Whoops. There we go. That's the right way. That's for you. Lisa and her husband was up here. And anyway. Thank you. Hey, Becky, thank you for that. Look what happens in Virginia when everyone got out and watched the vote booth. Bingo! Becky Blevins gets the quote of the night. Carol, I thought we got to the good stuff. I'm saving some of the good stuff for next week. But it would not be a Friday night. Ron Edwards may disown me. He may not even come on my show no more if I do this. But I'm going to put the bear hat on. I'm going to put the bear hat on along with the cowboy hat. So I am Cowboy Chris the Bear Man. And we hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Do I get a 10? What's my grade out there? What's my grade out there tonight? I hope you enjoyed the Friday night McFoolery, this and that, Q&A. And what you doing with the bear on top of your head? Well, it is the McFiles, right? It is the McFiles, and we're in Tennessee. So, we got a lot more to say. Carol, we got to some of the good stuff, but I got better good stuff coming next week. Got a lot of good guests. I'll see you again Sunday afternoon sometime with my son Brandon for Father's Day special. And we hope you'll join us then. Folks, do not forsake the assembling of yourselves together. Please, there's believers in your city that you can find. You need to look for them. Search them out. But don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together. Any voice that's telling you to do otherwise is preaching rebellion. You need each other out there. I need you. You need me. We need each other like we've never needed each other before in the body of Christ. We need each other. Trust me on this one. I love you. I appreciate you being with me tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. I enjoyed being with you. And see you this weekend for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all our fathers out there. And we appreciate you for what you do and keeping our kids straight. God bless you. See you later now. Just want to tell all our fathers again tonight. I want to come back over here one more time before we say goodnight to you. This weekend is Father's Day, and most of you know my dad left this earth 2 years ago this coming August, and this will be our second one without him. But our thoughts to all of you out there tonight with fathers on this earth and those that fathers are in heaven tonight. We hope you have a great, great Father's Day. I'm excited to be with my son. I saw my youngest yesterday, and we love my boys, and thank you for the Father's Day wishes already. But I want to wish all you out there that are fathers that I'm proud of you, and keep up the fight for this country. We need you, and we're going to talk about this Sunday with my son. And listen, we love you guys tonight. Have a great weekend. Thank you all for being with me, and we'll see you. I know you like the fellowship, so I'm just going to go ahead and play this again. Can I do that? I don't think you'll care. And just fellowship a little bit more, and then I'll see you later. God bless you out there tonight. Be blessed. See you later. Good night, everybody. Out there, don't forget your donations. Help keep us going each week. PayPal.me/the McFiles and Zelle, ChrisMac44 Gmail. Your donations help us. P.O. Box 23921, Knoxville 37933. See you this weekend and the next week. God bless. Good night.